me anything is fucked up. My opinion.
I also wish that the crafting bench appeared earlier. It felt too hidden until too late. More obvious early nudges would have helped, or just having the bench in each of the
This is an example of that. The crafting bench is indeed unlocked really early in the campaign. It is unlocked in Act 2. But since they don't push you into using it, you don't realize it. Do you see why it is important then giving you this quest so you interact with it? And they even said they are going to probably do something like that in PoE2, like giving you some currency so you use a currency so that you interact with the crafting system early in the campaign so you know what is up. Because it is important that they tell you this, because if not, you are not going to do it.
town hubs from the start would have been nice. Ascending via the labyrinth was interesting. I appreciate.
Nah, the labyrinth sucks dick. I am going to die on this hill. The labyrinth sucks dick. We have 3 methods of ascending. Combining.
All right, we live. Testing 1, 2, 3. Audio.
PoE1.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
We have 2 trials. The trial of the Sekemas, better known as the trial of the Suck My Ass, and then you have the trial of Chaos. My personal ranking for this, like the one
Live.
that
Testing
I
1,
like
2,
the
3.
most to the one that I like the least.
There we
I
are.
like the most.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Trial of Chaos. In fact, it's
Beautiful.
the only one that I like.
All right.
And then you have the trial of the Suck My Ass.
Suck my ass.
It's not the last one. And then the labyrinth. But if it is the last one where you have to go 4 floors, it is too long, then I prefer the labyrinth. So you could say that they are like tied. But the labyrinth sucks dick. I hate the labyrinth. I never want to do the labyrinth. And the same goes for the trial of the Sekemas when you have to do the 4 floors. Fuck that, nobody wants to do that.
Fuck that, nobody wants to do that. I know.
But the trial of Chaos is cool. It's fast. You get rewards. You farm in there. And you ascend, and it is
Really?
easy. Hey, I love the trial of Chaos, but I know that some people hate it too.
Appreciated the small hidden trials within the various campaign zones, which created a sense of intrigue. I definitely wasn't in love with the labyrinth though. I didn't like how it was an identical trial except for the final boss arena in each ascension difficulty that I progressed through. So yeah, the campaign is long, kinda bloated, and honestly outdated in some areas, but it is also packed with depth, and it taught me as much as I can handle about the game. By the time I reached...
At this point, for experienced players, the campaign is just a chore that you do to get to the endgame, because the meat of the game is in the endgame, right? But I understand that we as new players, and coming from PoE2 where the campaign is kind of cool, I hate doing cruel. I know that cruel is a placeholder, but let's be honest, guys, doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is boring as fuck. But the 1, 2, 3 once is fun, it's cool. So you expect a cooler campaign in here, and it is not as cool. But you just do it to get to the end game.
Act 10 though, I was mentally done. I was still having moments of fun, but my enthusiasm was wearing thin. Still, I powered through and hit maps, and I'm really glad I did, because what came next finally felt like the game opening up again.
It's over.
The end of the game.
I hit level 80 after
game,
about 30
okay.
hours, playing a home-brewed Sunder Juggernaut, which focused on physical damage, endurance charges, and AoE, which was balanced defensively through a mixture of my items and passive tree nodes. It honestly felt great, and I cruised through the campaign up to T6 maps with pretty much no difficulty. I could have kept min-maxing my gear and character to improve my life, defenses, and damage, but over time, I just lost the desire to. Path of Exile 1's endgame is incredibly complex and content-rich, almost intimidatingly so.
But that is a cool thing. That is a cool thing about PoE1. There is so much stuff to do, and you are not forced to do any of them, that you can do whatever you want. And if you're bored of something, you can go and do something else, right? In PoE2, so far, we don't have that amount of use. And even if you want to swap up your farming strategy, it is a pain in the ass. Because if it is related to maps, you have to pack towards the towers, open the towers, trade for the tablets for the towers, trade for the waystones to do the shed, respect your Atlas tree. Pain in the ass. In PoE1, oh, I want to go delving. Poof, you go delving. Easy as fuck. Oh, I want to go heist. You go heist. Easy as fuck. Oh, it is a map in-game mechanic. Doesn't matter. You have 3 different Atlas tree. You put the scarabs, go on the fly, a different farming strategy. And you have tons and tons of different farming mechanics that again you are not required to do them. You just do them if you like, and if you get bored of something, you can go and swap to a different one. I have to say that is probably the coolest thing, at least that I have liked the most about PoE1 is that if I love delving, but if I am bored of delving, I go and I run a couple of contracts in a heist. Or I go to a map, I capture some beast with Einhard, and I build a nice fucking temple with alva, and I sell the temple. You can do a bunch of crazy stuff. You can boss also, lots of different bosses. PoE2, I hope they get to that depth sometime, but so far there is not that depth. And even with the mechanics that we have, it is a pain in the ass to swap between mechanics. It is like when once you do one mechanic, you feel like you are locked into that mechanic until you clear the use from your towers. Fuck that. That is why my favorite mechanics in PoE2 are the Trial of Chaos, because it is outside of maps. Farming the Twisted Domain, outside of maps. Farming the Ritual, the King in the Mist, because it is outside of maps. Because using maps is boring and it takes too much fucking time.
Every map felt unique with its own layouts, mechanics, and encounters. And there are a multitude of various League mechanics and systems to interact with that have been added over its 10-year development process. But all of this content as a new player made PoE1 feel dense, maybe too dense. It has so many systems and mechanics layered on top of each other. I wasn't sure where to start, and I was worried that I was missing out on something. Some of these League mechanics and systems even have their own crafting benches, and I had a hard time figuring out the most optimal system for crafting my perfect upgrades. The crafting...
I think that you found in here, my boy Blaze, a pitfall of playing SSF. If you had decided to play trading, you could just focus on one mechanic that you enjoy and you trade for the other stuff. But since you are playing SSF, you want to interact with the mechanics to be able to get the resources, right? I believe that that was one of the pitfalls of choosing to go SSF. You need a lot of knowledge. You need to interact with different mechanics to get the different uses for different things. I think you would have had a better time if you decided to go trading.
Karim.
PoE1 is incredibly deep and deterministic. Items can be heavily customized from their original forms. Even the standard crafting bench is so reliable for filling in gaps in resistances, defenses, life, adding sock.
Which I love, by the way. I love that you can just put something in there and put the resistances and you cover your resistance. GG is trying to do that with sockets.
Cutting, please.
Which
oh man, you're screeching. Come here.
I think sockets are cool, but GG. Come on, it is not the same as the crafting bench.
Alright.
I am okay with the sockets. I am not judging you. But we know that you have released some posts and you have said on some interviews that sockets are intended to be what the crafting bench is. It is not the same. I like sockets in PoE2. It is not the same as the crafting bench. Let's be honest in here.
Buckets or increasing damage. But with more complexity came confusion. Currency orbs combined with league-specific crafting and multiple benches made crafting a bit overwhelming. I wasn't sure what to use or when.
And again, a pitfall of playing SSF. In SSF, you have to craft. If you were playing trading, you could just farm currency and trade for the item you want without having to craft. I don't know shit about crafting in PoE1, but I have cleared a lot of content. Why? Because I farm and I traded for my items. I think that as a first timer, like, I respect your decision of going SSF. Dude, hey, respect. But I think you would have enjoyed the game a lot more in trading.
Yes.
You learned the game, right?
Do not go to trade. Why would you go to why would you go to SSF? It makes no sense to me.
Unlocking points via completing maps felt rewarding.
This is when you get hooked to PoE1, by the way. When you start getting the Atlas progression. And you see, oh, if I complete one layout, one type of map, then I get a point. Oh, I want to get all the points. And with the points, I can do the specific mechanic that I want.
That's true. I mean, this guy is so on point. The Atlas is one of the most addictive parts of PoE. You can't stop playing. The way you progress the Atlas is so good in PoE1.
And I could tailor my endgame to
I agree.
I also love the Scarab drops, which allowed me to further customize my mapping experience by adding different lead mechanics that I enjoyed. I also loved that map completion is achieved through boss killing, despite the bosses not even being that enjoyable. After completing the campaign, the Path of Exile endgame feels like you're being dropped into a vast, deep ocean without a life jacket. You're expected to build your own raft while treading water, and honestly, I just didn't have the energy. The core loop of running maps and farming loot is fun. I can definitely see why players get hooked, and I'm sure I would have if I spent more time there. But for me, the deeper I got, the more I thought about PoE 2's cleaner systems and lower mental overhead. I wasn't quitting because the content was bad. It's honestly quite the opposite. I was just getting exhausted. After playing the
Well, let's be honest.
That happens.
I know it is a symptom of PoE2 being a new game that is not even released. It's in early access. I know, guys. Some people said to me that in my video that why was I comparing PoE2 to PoE1 if PoE2 is a new game that is not even released versus a game with 10 years of development. And it is true. I should have said in the video that I acknowledge that PoE2 is a newer game. So obviously PoE1 is going to be more developed and all of that. I know, I acknowledge it, but at the same time, exactly because of that, in PoE2 you run out of stuff to do quicker, really fast.
That's true.
And in PoE1
Very
you
true.
never run out of stuff to do. I think
No, that's not true.
One league in PoE1.
Oh, you run out in
Maybe
PoE1
the
as well.
Settlers League that lasted for 1 fucking year, but in a 2-month one, no way in hell. Or a 4-month one. There is so much stuff to do, dude. It is insane.
Don't know.
The game for 30 hours, logging into PoE1 started to feel like work, and I started recognizing
That's true.
that I needed to put in a lot of work to fully understand and appreciate everything. I know. It's tough to compare a decade-old game to one that's still in early.
He said it outright. I should have said that also outright. He said it outright. Smarter than me. Definitely smarter than me because I should have said this in my video. Starting the video, hey, I know it is unfair to compare a new game to an old game, but still, I wanted to make it clear that although I do think that PoE1 right now is a better game because of all the options you have to play in the end game, since the base gameplay in PoE2 is superior as it should be because it's a new game. Obviously, if it isn't superior, what are you doing making a new game? Eventually, when we have more options in the end game, the game will be better. That was the point. It is giving people hope because there are people that are doomers about PoE2, and what I want is to give people hope. The game will be awesome, dude. Right?
Access. But
I
these
think so.
comparisons are meaningful. Let's break them down. Surprisingly, the new player experience in Path of Exile 1 was better than expected, but still falls quite short compared to PoE 2. The biggest
That's true.
issue? Information overload. PoE 1 bombards you with mechanics early on and
That's true.
explains very little. League content throughout the campaign, currencies, crafting systems, socket links, it all hits you really quickly and with pretty minimal guidance early on. I can definitely see this being a filter that stops a lot of new players in their tracks before reaching the end.
It indeed is like that, and GG knows it, and they even said in one interview that they are stopping caring about it. They will leave PoE1 for the veterans, and they will focus on PoE2 for the new player experience. And then if you like PoE2, well, then you can go to PoE1 knowing a little bit more. But they are going to basically stop caring about the new player experience in PoE1. I think it is a little bit of a mistake because they definitely can improve the game for newer players. For example, they have added stuff to PoE1 that for me as a new player is awesome. That when I learned that it didn't exist before, I said, how the fuck do you guys play this game? For example, the currency exchange, being able to respect your character with gold. Those are newer things to Path of Exile that for me as a new player, they make the new player experience better. It didn't used to be like that. So that means that they can definitely still make improvements for the new player experience.
That's true.
But hey, they said they
I mean,
want
yeah,
to leave
currency
PoE1
seems
for the
huge.
veteran
Just-
players and PoE2 to attract the new audience. I am also fine with that. I don't see the problem with that. But yes, it is already like that. It is even intended to be like that at this point.
It almost took me 20 hours of relaxed gameplay to make it through the campaign. Despite never playing the game before, I still had my 1,000 hours of PoE 2 knowledge, which helped immensely. This will probably take a new player much, much longer, if they end up making it through it all. By contrast, PoE 2 actually nails the pacing in my opinion. It introduces mechanics one at a time, just when they become relevant. That thoughtful
It also doesn't introduce a lot of mechanics. It also doesn't explain a lot of shit, like Delirium, like
That's true.
Expedition. I think they probably will explain Expedition when Act 4 is released, because in Act 4 you meet the Expedition people. Let's see what happens. But even in Act 1 where you meet the ritual mechanic, they don't explain the mechanic. You interact with the mechanic, but they don't explain it either. So I don't think PoE2 also does a really good job about this. The basics
alva
is
farming.
definitely better.
Hey, you know what?
Because there is less stuff, right?
That's
It is
that's one of the most obscure ways to farm. I'm gonna change the fucking stream to let's do alva farming.
Structure lets players absorb systems naturally while enjoying the best, polished, and most narrative-driven campaign in any ARPG that I've ever played. In PoE 1, the campaign feels more like a tutorial sandbox for endgame systems than a standalone experience. Instead of
I agree with this. And I think that most people will agree with it. I said it earlier. Experienced PoE1 players, the campaign is a short.
Let's do it. Let's see if alva farming.
Play PoE1
Look.
for the ending. That is a point.
I'm gonna check if alva farming
The campaign, the point
is worth anything.
and
Burp.
I think that PoE2 will get there.
Burp
By
again.
the way, like yes, the campaign
Okay.
is definitely
Where's the
better.
trade
It
site?
is more polished. It is a really cool campaign. But after you do it 10, 20, 30, 40 times,
Let's see.
you already
I do
feel like it is a
Kongatsu
chore.
Auto. Locus of corruption.
Even if it is a campaign, that is just how
Now
it
that people
works.
have currency,
And I have already done the campaign a lot of times. And I am bored of doing cruel 1, 2, 3,
What?
1, 2, 3. I
Don't
hate
troll,
it.
please.
I know it is a placeholder.
it's
but I
one
am bored of it.
divine.
And the campaign is good.
It's
build
one
it,
divine.
boss fights, it interrupts your flow with mechanics that
Let's
you're
see
not
if this
prepared
works.
or didn't ask for. PoE 2 gives
I
you
will.
stakes. You feel guided by the main story quests, but not
I will
overwhelmed.
try
And
to
most
see
importantly,
if we
in
can do
PoE 2, it feels
farming.
like you're playing a game,
Farming for
not starting over.
divines here.
Control preference is subjective, but for me, PoE2's WASD system is a clear winner here, especially
WASD is indeed better, but WASD
Let's go.
will get eventually
Let's
to
do
PoE1
some,
is that once they backport all the
Are there a lot of new players in PoE? I don't even know.
I understand.
I don't
that.
know. Are there
don't
new
know
players in
what
PoE
to do
1?
right now?
Don't know.
It's not that bad either. WSD is better, but click to move is not bad either, dude. It is inferior, but playable.
Maybe I should help people.
caster builds, separating
I never
movement
covered this. Oh, okay,
and
let's try it. Let's see if I can do an alva farm.
dodging, repositioning.
Let's do a timer and see how much currency I can generate in like maps.
And once you adapt, it's pretty snappy. But it puts more strain on your mouse hand and gets a bit fatiguing over long sessions. PoE2's movement feels modern and ergonomic by comparison. One thing that I missed dearly was the dodge roll. In PoE2, dodge offers
Let's
a
do something different. Let's do an
universal
alva
defensive
farm. Look at
move
that, one
enhances
divine
movement
per
gameplay.
map.
In PoE
I also mix
Per
it up with
temple.
no cooldown. PoE1 you have
Let's just
movement
do that in the
speed.
meantime,
For example,
huh?
I am using Frost Blink, and sometimes
Oh,
I
lol.
use my Frost Blink, another mechanic comes, and I have Frost Blink on CD, and it fucks me in the ass. In PoE2 you dodge roll again, right? I know.
I have
it's
it here,
not
Alva
bad.
Deli.
Don't misuse
Alva
your
Deli.
Frost Blink. I know.
I have not done a map in ages. Man.
Flexibility or safety net is
Try it.
obvious.
Let's try it though.
Once you've felt the freedom of the dodge roll, it's hard not to have that. Overall, PoE2's movement gives you a bit more options and flexibility.
Let's see. Let's look up on some maps first. Dump shit in here. Dump.
But it's harder on the hands and a little less flexible. In my opinion, PoE2's gem system is a massive improvement. In PoE1, skills and support.
It is in some ways, like in the majority of ways, but it has one flaw, and I will tell you in a little bit what it is. Definitely having the links and the colors and the bullshit on your gear is annoying as fuck in PoE1. Definitely it is annoying.
No, I'll keep these.
But one thing that PoE2 has a problem with
Okay.
is the levels of the gems. You can't
Let's see.
keep
First, to
every
do
gems.
alva farm, you do currency, you buy chaos orbs, you buy the incursion. Incursion scarab. It's kind of obscure. There's only one good video about this, and that is from Ron Are, not Fabgun. Ron Are, but this is not going to be a. Let's see. Itemize sample? Mine chaos.
And then you overlevel your gem, you are fucked. You just break your character.
Mine
right?
is a scarab.
That doesn't happen in
I think.
PoE1 because
I'm gonna put
the
in
user sword, the perfect user sword is
Delirium, Scarab,
So how do you fix this if
Paranoia.
give me the ability, it is a better system. Oh, the only thing that you need is give me the ability to re-level gems, and the system is already better in every single way.
Then I take a bunch of, I don't know, strand maps.
I passed up on good gear repeatedly because I couldn't maintain my socket setup. Chromatic orbs were scarce, and experimentation felt punished. Path of Exile 2 fixes this. Skills and supports are separate from gear, letting you swap setups freely without needing to match socket colors. It encourages experimentation, especially for new or SSF players. That being said, PoE 2 still has its quirks, like how it's annoying to have to revisit early acts to grab missed, low-level skill gems for certain builds. A gem vendor system like what PoE 1 has that scales with your level would go a very long way here.
Based. You know who said
Based.
Me.
Based.
I said this in my video, 5 things from PoE 1 that should be in PoE 2. I said that one of the things that is in PoE 1 that should be in PoE 2 is a gem vendor. Dude, base, validation. I am not crazy.
Passive respecking is another huge contrast. In PoE 1, you're given some refund points and can buy more with Orbs of Regret, but changes feel expensive and rigid. I found a great one-handed unique mace early on in my PoE 1 journey.
Alva, okay, there you go. Let's do Alva Temple.
The heavy cost of respecking.
Wait, I pulled it out, right?
So I could try out this
Yeah,
mace.
okay.
PoE 2.
You can also respect with gold. You can, maybe he didn't know because he was a new player and they didn't explain.
Come on, Doc.
But you can also respect with gold.
Oh,
But in fact,
okay.
I do think that
I'll reset it. I'll reset it, man. You want to watch on
I am
Twitch?
using the gold to use
Okay.
the settlers, the King's March.
It's because the bit rate's too high, I think. Let me
For
adjust.
It is cheaper.
Tell me if it works. Keep it open. I don't know if I can adjust it here real time. I don't want to restart it.
Expensive. So to me, it is better to trade Orbs of
let's see.
Chaos. Maybe I am wrong, but trading Orbs of Chaos for Orbs of Regret to respect is cheaper
Let me know.
than respecting directly with gold, in my humble opinion.
2 uses gold to respec, and it's relatively abundant. You can pivot your build mid-campaign without completely derailing your progress. That accessibility rewards curiosity and lets players iterate more freely. PoE 1 asks you.
Oh, but he was playing solo.
Okay, I'll open it on Twitch here.
See, dude.
But finally,
another thing of playing solo self-found, dude. You would have had an awesome time playing trade. Maybe he doesn't like trading because the trading system in Path of Exile sucks, and nobody wants to do this whispering bullshit. That is another topic, guys. I am not going to get into trade again. I know that I rant about trading too fucking much. I know. Sorry.
PoE 2 lets you evolve. Path of Exile 1's campaign progression just felt off to me. I constantly was over-leveled for zones, steamrolling enemies with a decent weapon, movement skill, and a Quicksilver Flask. It was fun for a bit, but over time it started to lack tension or any sort of struggle. Then came the endgame, and the difficulty ramped up hard. Suddenly I was planning around
And the mercenaries hit you in the face and you are done, dude.